Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you recommendation 3.
I'm sorry?
No question.
Staff's recommendation number 3 is to allow the city to institute civil proceedings against a hosting platform business entity or owner as defined in Chapter 41A at any time. This is both in the Kim ordinance and the Campos ordinance.
Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. Sorry about that. We're going to the question button. Quick question. So this might be one where I might be doing a Commissioner Hillis where my vote on this depends on the explanation of a later recommendation. So could either the city attorney or you, Mr. Starr, please explain what is the current enforcement, what is the anticipated enforcement practice given that a later recommendation advises a change to the administrative hearing proceedings and how those are invoked and how they're used? So at what point would the city be instituting civil proceedings?
So just to clarify on the later recommendation, right now it requires a hearing, and the change is just to make that hearing something that they can request.
Right.
But otherwise, so it's a very minor technical change there that doesn't really change the process in a significant way. But maybe the deputy city attorney can address here. This just allows the city to take, as the city attorney had done last year, to initiate enforcement for violations where they found properties had been illegally converted using the Ellis Act and then turned into short-term rentals. They initiated enforcement cases on those properties. This is just reinsuring that the city still has the right to initiate enforcement at any time without completing the process. That's correct.
Deputy City Attorney Marlena Byrne, I think that in all of these amendments where this language is added, the intent really was a recommendation from our office to just clarify that the city can always file a lawsuit to enforce. We don't have to wait for the administrative process to be completed, and I think we would advise that that is the case right now, even without these amendments, and this really is just clarifying language to make that crystal clear to everyone that if the city's enforcing this, we can sue to enforce at any point. We don't need to go through this longer administrative process.
Under what circumstances would we institute civil proceedings without administrative proceedings or going through that process? And I'm just a little confused there.
So I'd let the zoning administrator answer. Certainly we would most likely get a recommendation or a referral from the department. We don't have to wait for that, but often that is what happens. I assume it would be in a situation where it's a really bad actor, where you really do have an entire building has been, all the tenants have been evicted and the whole thing has just been turned into short-term rental. We want to be able to move on that quickly, get an injunction as quickly as possible from a court, and really go after those kind of very bad actors as quickly as possible. So that may be an example of something where we wouldn't want to wait for the administrative process, especially if we have a lot of information and evidence that Chapter 41A is being violated.
And also if there are multiple properties in violation, maybe we've exhausted the administrative process on one property, but there are 5 others that are by the same bad actor. This would allow the city attorney's office to effectively pursue enforcement on all of those at the same time to create the strongest enforcement case.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Antonini.
And staff supports this, I assume.
Absolutely.
And Farrell did not have it in his legislation, or you didn't mention that specifically?
No, it's in Farrell's. It's just not in Kim's because hers was the duplicated ordinance from the board. So
okay.
No.
If I can jump in, it's in all 3.
It's all. I'm sorry.
The language is slightly different in Supervisor Kim's because that was drafted back in October, and I did a slightly better job of drafting it in these recent amendments. So, but the intent is there that the city can institute enforcement civil proceedings at any time.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Commissioner, shall I call a question for recommendation number 3?
Yes,
so
please.
On that recommendation, Commissioner Antonini.
Aye.
Commissioner Hillis.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Richards.
Aye.
Commissioner Wu.
Aye.
And Commissioner President Fong.
Aye.
So moved. That recommendation will go forward unanimously.